So welcome to a Tuesday education stream.
We'll be educating you.
Yep.
On
laying down that thick layer of education.
Yeah, in a stream-like format. This week we are going to continue shooter mechanics. So,
looking forward to it.
Yeah,
cool.
And I thought it'd be fun to. So last week we kind of covered how to do ammo, reload, things like that. I thought it'd be fun this week to cover how to do fun weapons like rocket launchers, shotguns. And I thought another fun one to do would be showing you how to do a gravity gun, like something from what was it, Half-Life 2, where you shot the gravity gun and kind of all the stuff came in towards it. And this one, it'll just be only enemies are sucked in towards it, but you can easily make it everything is sucked in towards it.
Very cool.
So yeah. The very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show where we left off. The only thing I've added since last week is this little crosshair right here in the middle of the screen. So we got this crosshair here. We still got these weapons. I also added some goblins for some target practice. So we got like a little shooting range going on here. I was actually thinking about spending extra time making this thing look like a shooting range. Then I realized, I probably should spend time on other stuff instead of that. So you pick up this. It shows you what you have equipped. Shows you how much ammo's in your clip and how much total ammo you have, and you shoot it until you unload, and then you can reload and continue shooting. Bam. Okay. So
now how do we take that and do new cool weapons?
Yeah.
Right?
First thing before we get to weapons, this is mistitled Gravity Gun. It's actually still an SMG. But before we get to weapons, I'm actually going to show you the most important part when you're working with a lot of weapons is how to get it so they transfer correctly so that when you have your rocket launcher and you hit right trigger, you fire a rocket. When you have your shotgun equipped, you hit right trigger, you fire your shotgun. These are stuff that are very important to have. You don't want your rocket launcher to be shooting shotgun shells.
That'd be pretty cool, though.
Yeah.
And kind of scary. I'm just like running down the hallway, and you're just like, boom!
So there's a few different ways to do it. People have shown how to have a bunch of booleans that activate depending on what gun you have, or you checked what the name of the gun is. That's all fine, but I like to do stuff compact and just works beautifully every time. And to do that, I use something called multi-brains. We've done a few tutorials on multi-brains, but it's always good to do more multi-brain stuff to help show you what you can do with multi-brains.
Yep, multiple uses of multi-brain is a good strategy.
Indeed. So how do you set this up with multi-brain? The basic idea here is that when you pick up a gun, it pushes a brain onto your character that basically says, here's what happens when they hit right trigger. And so each gun would have a brain attached to it. So this would be we have the pistol.
Our logic key pistol.
Pistol shoot.
Awesome. Cool.
So we're going to start with that one. So this guy, we are going to remove. We're going to remove this when right trigger do all the shooting stuff. We're going to remove all that. So he has nothing in here that is making him shoot.
Okay. Now, don't forget you have to keep the bullet logic stuff, like about the ammo.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. That's why I deleted it. Did I? Oh, no, I put it right here. Okay, cool, because I can just copy this.
Oh, okay, cool.
To make it a bit easier. So I'm just basically, what I'm doing is I'm just copying the logic over from this guy onto here. So just from last week, we had this little piece of logic here that looked for whatever weapon is equipped. When the bullets in the clip are greater than 0, then you're allowed to shoot. And every time you shoot, it fires this thing, and it decrements the amount of bullets in your clip by 1, or decreases the amount of bullets in your clip by 1. The only difference is we're putting this in its own little logic cube right here. So this logic cube, we are going to make it a template. And then on the pistol, the only thing we need to add here, this is why it's really simple. And this is why multi-brains is not something you should be afraid of, because all you need to do is when this thing has been interacted with. So basically, when the character comes up, interacts with that gun, picks it up, then we're going to say that it, which is the person just picked this thing up, we're going to go to brains, go to multi-brains, and we're going to just go to add brain, and then we're going to select this pistol shoot, and we are going to set it to channel. We're going to call this channel shoot. And I'm also going to select a slot. And the reason why I want to select a channel and a slot is because you can only have one brain in a slot in multi-brains. So you can have a channel, you can have as many channels as you want, you can have as many slots as you want in a channel, but you can only have one brain in a channel's slot. So what that means is I can use this over and over again, and every time I add a brain, since you can only have one brain in a slot, it's going to push the current brain out and add this new brain in. So it just makes it a lot easier to manage. So that's all I'm going to do here. Let's jump back into test. And let's go over to this this gun right here, pick it up, and I'm shooting just like before. So just like before, I'm shooting, and it's the exact same mechanics as before I added multi-brain here.
It's just like taking those lines of code and just dumping them in your brain.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
they're in a different brain.
So that's how you can now parse these out, so that every gun, it's just like every gun is nice and compact, and you can make sure that there's not going to be ever an overlap of
It's
shooting
clean.
the wrong thing at wrong times.
So yeah, the way to think about it is the alternative to this setup is trying to keep all the separate gun logic in the character's brain, and as you can imagine, that would get messy pretty fast, especially as you want to add more and more varied weapons. Even like we saw that right on last week's stream, we were talking about like the difference between like an automatic versus a press to shoot kind of thing, and this would be able to parse that out so the character doesn't have to keep all of that itself in its brain.
Yeah, and this multi-brain sounds scary, and for the longest time when I was in the community, I thought it was the scariest, most complex thing ever. I was terrified of this idea of multi-brains, but it's really not. To go through it again, we're taking the exact same line of code we had in the character, putting it in a separate logic cube, making that logic cube into a template, and then the only other piece we're adding is when this pistol's picked up, when it's interacted with, then the thing that interacts with it just adds this brain, this new brain we put in this logic cube, to a channel we're calling shoot. You can call it whatever you want, and to slot number 1. And that way everything just goes into that one slot. So, bam. Now that that's out of the way, we can start having some fun. So, very first thing I want to do is I'm actually going to, why not? I'm going to make this SMG the rocket launcher.
All right. Cool.
This is why I can't wait for two-handed animation stuff coming with battle stations. I really can't wait for that. So this SMG, we're making a rocket launcher. Going into the brain of this, we covered this last week, but we basically, within the brain of every gun, you're setting how many bullets are in the clip when it's first picked up, what the clip size is, so the total amount of bullets that you can have before you need to reload, the total amount of ammo that's held in this gun, and then the maximum amount of ammo you're able to pick up. So typically with a rocket launcher, you start out with like 2 rockets, and you can only hold 2 rockets at a time, and your total amount of ammo is, I think it's usually like 3 rockets, maybe allows you to reload
on the game.
For 1 more. Yeah, it does depend on the game. Let's just say you have a total 3 rockets, so you're allowed to reload once, and then the max you can hold is 6 rockets. That sounds good.
Yeah, I think that might give you, the way we had it set up, that might give you 3 in reserve rockets for ammo held. Those might,
so 2 plus 3 in reserve?
Yeah, so I think you'll have a total of like 6 or 5.
Yeah. Okay. That's fine.
Yeah.
This is
We'll see
all
how it
this is
ends
all
up
for
showing up.
testing. Okay. So all right. So we are going to take this pistol shoot thing. We are going to call this rocket shoot.
Rocket shoot. I like it.
Yeah. All right. So this is the thing, the logic for firing the rocket. When right trigger is pressed, we are going to fire a rocket, and we are going to decrease the bullets in the clip by 1. Mm-hmm. So after a lot of testing, I found out the best way to make a great rocket is actually, you don't even shoot the rocket. You create the rocket. So I'm going to grab this thing, because I have this rocket I designed out here.
Is this from our...
Yeah, this is actually.
Got it.
All right, so here's my rocket. This is like the things that make up my rocket. It's pretty funny. It's a logic cube in the middle. Then I take a smoke trail and I attach it to the logic cube, and I take a light bulb, color it black, and then make its glow orange. And I make the light bulb visible, so the light bulb is actually the rocket.
Is the rocket.
So like the light bulb's the rocket you're seeing, but
it's so fast you
you don't see it. Plus, it provides kind of realistic light because a rocket would have light kind of trailing behind it. And then you have this nice smoke trail that trails behind it that like makes it feel really nice. So those together, you just have 3 props and you make something look kind of like a rocket. It's pretty. It may seem kind of crazy, but that's the rocket that you end up firing.
Yeah,
it's just this logic cube with these 2 things attached to it. So when rockets shoot, then what we're going to do, we're going to say that a object variable called rocket is equal to create this rocket right here. Let's just call this rocket so that we're not confused by what logic cube it's referring to. And the reason why we set that as an object variable is because rocket...
You're going to do some things to it.
Well, the only thing we actually need to do is rocket forward equals...
Oh, it's the projectile...
Yeah, so you want that projectile's forward facing vector so that it's looking forward the same direction you're looking forward in, because that rocket's going to move on its own. This is the only thing we're going to do inside the brain. So it just creates a rocket and it points the rocket in the direction you're looking.
Cool. And so the rest of it's going to be in the actual rocket brain. Okay.
All right. So I might have to reference some stuff, but I'm just going to delete all this.
Woohoo. So
that quickly delete it. So you
courageous. Yeah. That is brave.
It's okay. I have another rocket in case I mess up. So all we're gonna do is, so here's the cool thing with this rocket. So I could just say move this rocket, just move in direction forward with flying, and then wherever you create it, then that's kind of the direction it moves in.
I'm just gonna go.
Oh, actually, that's right. I do need to peek in some code here because I actually did something very specific. I found, after a lot of testing, I found that creating the rocket wasn't great. I wanted to create the rocket at a specific position.
That makes sense.
So I actually ended up doing this create rocket at position head position. So it's like your head plus forward multiplied by 0.5. So half a meter in front of me plus right multiplied by 0.3. So plus half a meter or a third of a meter to the right of me. So that basically ended up lining up with my gun.
Yeah. So you can imagine if you're carrying this thing, that would be like the point where this is getting... Yeah.
Exactly. And I was actually doing this because I was working in a first-person view with this stuff. So I built all the stuff for a first-person view to make sure it worked great with that, and then made it with third-person. So I made sure this kind of worked well. So I found that creating this at the specific position kind of gave it a nice offset. So if you create it just right in front of you, then if you're in first-person view, your entire vision is clouded by that...
The smoke trail.
So you have no idea what's happening.
Yeah. I know. I think if you shot off a rocket in real life, I think you'd be pretty disoriented after
it.
Yeah,
you'd probably
be on the floor.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. All right. So anyways, I just wanted to do that so that we have a specific position it's actually being created at. Cool. You can obviously tweak that however you want. All right, let's go back to the rocket. So, cool thing is I could say move in direction forward, or I could do a fun thing like they did in Half-Life, where I do move in direction camera forward, and as I'm moving the camera around, the rocket will follow it. Yeah. So you could do like you could do some really fun.
Is that like a desired behavior for? So it's tracking.
No, it's
like,
not.
Okay.
This is.
I wouldn't expect a rocket to behave that way.
This is what we used for Conquer's multiplayer arena. If you actually played around with the rockets, you notice that when you move the cursor around, the rockets like went wherever you wherever you started pointing, the rockets moved towards that. So this is a more simplified version of that. So you can do this so that your rocket tracks where you're moving around. It leads to some really fun mechanics. So you can do some fun stuff with that. But for now, we're just going to do move in a direction forward. We're going to keep it nice and simple. So then the only thing I need to look for is look for when I bump something or I bump terrain. So when that happens, that means explosion time. When explosion time happens, then we want to look for it would be for each of.
Getting some of those challenges. Nice.
Yeah. Darn straight. So for each of... That's right, I need to go here first. For each of enemies, objects closer than, let's say, 8 meters. So any enemy that's closer than 8 meters.
This is your blast radius, right?
Yeah, bad stuff happens to it. So we want to damage them.
Oh, I thought you were going to heal them.
But
holy missile.
we want to damage them with splash damage. That's like the key of rocket launchers. You hit someone head on, they are dead. They're super dead. You hit someone and it's kind of close to them, then they get hurt by a tiny bit. So what you want to do is, let's put this in not plus but in brackets. And we're going to do, so damage it, I'm going to say 200 divided by the
distance to?
Yep, distance to it. So what that does is basically, if something is within a meter of that blast radius, it gets 200 points of damage. If it's within 2 meters, it gets 100 points of damage. So it kind of dissipates outwards. So someone brought up a good point in chat. I don't know if there's a difference between dead and super dead. There is with rocket launchers. You can be dead or super dead with rocket launchers.
There's like one where you can, be dead but you still can get buried, and then there's one that you can't even get buried. That's like the way I think about it.
Yeah, exactly.
You're one with the battlefield.
So. All right, so we're gonna play some effects as well. We're gonna play some explosivenesses. We're gonna do some firework explosion would be fun, but no, we're gonna do fire explosion. We are then going to. We're also gonna say with overlapping. Then we are going to play another effect where I think it's.
Ooh, I can't wait for the grenade explosion.
Like dirt plume is pretty good.
Yeah, that one's cool.
And then we are going to just play a sound as well.
Explosion.
Yeah, I think there's like, I can't hear any of these sounds, but elemental earth impact is a big sound, so I'm gonna go with that. If I could hear, I could find the sound that sounds best.
Yeah.
Oh wait. I realized I can steal, in this instance, to see exactly the sound that I use here. So bam, explosion grenade. That's what I use. That's right. If distance is equal to 0, you'll be dividing by 0. So yeah, that's a good point, but it'd be very hard for the distance 2 to be exactly 0 because the distance is.
Especially you're keeping collidable on with the projectile, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like it wouldn't even, if it's like a target, it wouldn't even necessarily get to its origin.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like,
yeah, so it's the distance 2 would never be at 0. It could be like 0.001 and then it'd damage it thousands of hit points. But yeah, I guess that's something that if it's not collidable, it's something you should worry about. That's a good point to make. And then we are going to destroy it. Another thing we're going to have here is also after a countdown timer of 5, it's going to blow up too. Otherwise, it's just going to keep on traveling. So
that's kind of your lifetime on it.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we'll do the exact same logic there.
Okay, so it will also, if you just shoot it up in the air, and then it'll blow up.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that was all that I needed to do there. Yep, that is it. This rocket is ready for duty. So, bring this over to here, just so we have... I like to keep things kind of all right next to each other.
See, my preference is to keep things so far apart. Like, just all over the place. Is litter, the whole thing. It's really... It's artistic.
I guess that's one way to do it. Oh, I actually have collidable off for this.
Oh. Is it going to matter if you're using bump on these?
No. It's okay. So collidable off, that's fine. You don't need to have bump activated, so we'll just bring these two together, just like that, and we got a rocket here. I think that should about do it. All right. So let's get a rocket launcher. All right, rocket launcher. Let's fire it. And nothing happens because, because silly me forgot to add the important ingredient of multi-brain onto this thing.
Oh, yeah, that would not help if it's not adding the brain.
It's not even adding the rocket shoot brain. Whoopsies. All right, let's add that here. All right, let's add brain rocket shoot. And let's do that again. All right. Go here.
All right.
Fire away.
Over his head.
So, in that case, you probably want to fire towards camera forward because he's firing towards forward.
Mm-hmm.
And I only test this in first-person mode. And forward works great for first-person mode, but it does not work great for here. So, we are going to change this rocket to only to move in direction camera forward.
Nice.
Here we go. Alrighty. And now fire. And why are you... That's pretty funny.
It's like over.
So he is...
Oh, that one hit your feet. Oh.
Yeah, well, that one I ran into. So this is an interesting conundrum. Let's see. What did I do differently this time around? Move in direction forward with flying. I had that. Huh. That's strange. I was like literally testing this.
You need to add creator enemies in front.
For each... Oh, good point. Yeah. For each of creator enemies. That's a good point, because this thing doesn't have any enemies.
Yep.
So you look for the creator's enemies. Yep, that is something that was missing. Move in direction forward with flying now. Let's go back to my other version here. That's why you always have the extra copy here, to see if you... Oh, rocket forward, that's why. You want the rocket forward to be equal to your camera forward. That's where you bring in camera forward.
Oh, there. That makes sense.
So then it's actually oriented based on wherever the camera's facing. Okay. Always good to know the difference between forward and camera forward. So, bam, fire.
There you go.
Explosion. Oh, they all die. And it works pretty well. It can detect when it hits terrain pretty well. If you... pro tip, because I ran into this, if you have the rocket moving incredibly fast, there's a certain speed where when things are moving that fast, they can no longer detect and use their detect sensors. So in that case, you want to start using things like raycasts. But, as long as you're fine with a rocket moving at this speed, which is still pretty fast, then it'll work most of the time. Here. So, yay.
Yeah, I remember you did some touching up on the rocket launcher we used in our world.
Yeah, I added
to get it to make sure it consistently explodes.
Yeah, and for that I added some raycast hit because we had the rocket moving incredibly fast. So I wanted to make sure that it was working properly. All right, next one is the shotgun.
Shotty.
All right, so we got shotgun. All right, let's bring out the shotgun logic here. So we'll call this shotgun shoot. Okay, so before you get into this, because actually the shotgun is incredibly easy to do. This.
Yeah, what you came up with is pretty cool. It's really easy.
Yeah, it's. I mean, yeah. This will take me just a minute to do. So I will kind of walk through what the kind of purpose, thinking about a shotgun, how it should function, so it actually kind of has purpose. Did I just delete that? Yeah, I did. All right, just copying all the stuff over. So a shotgun, when you think about a shotgun, it's short range, and the closer you are to something, the more damage it does to that thing. And the reason why that is because you're firing a bunch of shells, and those shells are spreading out pretty far. It's, buckshot, basically. Mm-hmm. So if something's really close, those bolts don't have enough time to spread out. If the thing is far away, those bolts will spread out, and they might not even hit that thing. So, let's see. Shotguns usually have, like, let's say 10 bullets in a clip. Clip size is usually 10. Ammo total, let's say like 15, and you can get like up to 30 shells.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. Now, a fun thing, if we had some more time, we might actually even, we could even kind of create a reload system where it only reloads one at a time slowly, because that's how you put the shotgun shells in.
Yeah, so if you get interrupted, then you only have like half or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. But we won't worry about that. So, forget that. I'm actually going to go to Brain Gallery. So this is how easy it is. Choose first-person shooter brain. The first-person shooter brain has some really nice logic on it. So let's just take this.
The shoot line.
All right, we're gonna. I personally think the best thing, like for something that looks sort of like buckshot, is the projectile trail. So it's going to shoot the projectile trail.
Interesting.
At speed 50, launch frequency 20. Let's right trigger pressed. We won't have to worry about launch frequency. Lifetime is going to be very important. We'll get to that. But the really nice thing is the first-person shooter brain has this really nice thing where it fires the shot in a random vector direction in a cone. So a cone going out from your character in a random vector in that cone with an angle of only 1.5. This is a really nice baseline for creating buckshot, because that's what you really want to do with your thing. So let's bring back in. Let's copy over this. Let's bring back in some of the other stuff that we needed from our previous brain, like when equip bullets, when it's greater than 0, all that stuff, and then also your bullets reduce. So let's get rid of all that. Let's put that under here. Okay, so I thought, when I was playing through it, I found that sort of a good shotgun. Let's just say it shoots like 5 bullets maybe. So you can just do this, and it shoots 5 at the same time, and that's the start of something that starts to look like a shotgun. It's not complete yet, but it's starting to get close. Because let's pick up the shotgun, let's fire it, and you see kind of it shoots all these things, but they're very closed, and I could shoot this thing and almost get it. So like all of those shots pretty much hit it from this far away, and you'd probably want to be this close before you can really hit it. And this close, only a few might hit, which they all hit that time. So it needs some tweaking, and that's why. So buckshot also should have a short lifetime. So I found lifetime of 0.5. It's pretty good.
Think of that too as like the range it's going to get to you before it won't do any damage.
Yeah, exactly. Let's just double check. I just want to make sure it was 0.5. Yeah, it was 0.5. And then also, so like this makes it so that you can't do long range shots with it. And the other really important thing is the angle of this random cone. So like the angle of this cone, how big this cone is, needs to be bigger than just 1.5 degrees. That's like hardly anything. That doesn't give much variety of things spreading out. So I found something about 12. was a good-sized cone here.
Interesting. That's bigger than I had expected, so I'm curious to see how that like turns out.
Yeah. People can probably hear the blaster like firing pew pew for like the shotgun when it's like usually the big shotgun draw.
Yeah.
So we go back in.
Pew pew. That's awesome.
Pick up the shotgun. It's fired a few times. So like this, you see a lot bigger spread of the bullets. And this gets to a good point. So you think about a shotgun. With a shotgun, I should not be able to do any damage to these things from this far away. So let's just shoot a lot of times.
You might get lucky to get one, right?
And if I do get one, all right. So that hit one. So what that means?
That's 2 for 1. That was pretty good.
Yeah. What that means is the spread is good, but my lifetime is still too high. So you probably want to go down to even maybe 0.3.
So I think the lifetime that'll help a lot.
So you go here and you kind of shoot again.
That looks good.
Yeah, and so it just doesn't reach them. You want to get your shotgun to a point where there's a certain distance and there's just no way you can do damage. But you get to some distance and you have a chance of doing some damage. Like right here, I could probably start doing some damage. Like there, I got one hit on him.
Yeah, you can kind of consistently at least get a little bit.
Yeah, but you go up here, boom,
This can be
headshot. Boom, headshot.
Those aren't necessarily
Boom, whatever. Close to headshot. Boom, close to headshot.
Nice, that's really cool. So would you now? So those are all doing like full whatever the weapon damage was, right? So you would have to think by damage per projectile.
Right. Yeah. So you think
that's
about each projectile. I think it does a default of 10 damage, something along those lines.
Okay.
So this would do 50 damage. So 50 damage is enough to kill. And actually, that one bullet missed, so that'd be like 40 damage. But you do here, and you had 2 bullets miss, so that was 30 damage right there. So not enough to take care of him. So you just play around with it. Depends on like how much damage everybody has in your game. But the general idea is you go for this spread, and when you're really close to something, these things don't have enough time to spread. They're all being created at the same point, but they're all veering out in different directions. So everything's being created here, and it's going out in a cone. That's why it's a random vector of a cone. So the closer in on the cone you are, these things have not spread out enough, and therefore they will all hit thing directly in front of them. As you get further away, they spread further out on the cone. What Rustblake actually said in chat is what my thinking of shotguns are. You may have some games where sure the damage of shotgun is exactly based on the range of the shotgun, but I like to go for the more realistic route where our shotgun is shooting
actual projectiles.
It's shooting actual projectiles out. So if more of them hit you, you're going to be damaged more. So I like to base it on this. You could go the kind of more generic defined route of like if you shoot one projectile and if something is you just multiply by the distance of that thing to you. So if something's only a meter, or you divide it by the distance of the thing to you. Right. So you do 100 damage if the thing's only a meter away from you. It does 50 damage if the thing's 2 meters away from you, and so on and so forth. So you could do that. Sure, that's basically you would actually do exactly what the splash damage I had in the rocket launcher was. I think this is a bit more natural for a shotgun, firing a bunch of basically buckshot projectiles that fly out in different directions. So that is that. Shotgun and rocket launcher. And yes, I think someone said in chat that we should make a rocket launcher shotgun. That'd be pretty easy. Just a shotgun that fires these different rockets.
Those projectiles instead.
Yeah.
So
I bet you anything I...
Kill yourself.
Yeah, I would kill myself, but I could probably create that in a matter of a minute or so. But I want to move on to the last gun, which is the gravity gun. because this is you can have a lot of fun with this. So the idea of the gravity gun, this has been in Half-Life. It was in Mass Effect. That was a lot of fun. The Mass Effect 2, I don't know if you ever used that. There's like this, they had this awesome, they had like a rocket launcher tier stuff, and they had this awesome rocket launcher type thing where it fired this little, basically black hole that sucked everything in towards it. Nice. You get that in a lot of different games. The basic idea of a black hole gun is it fires this little portal thing that shoots out, and it gets to a certain point, and then everything gets sucked into it. And then the things that are being sucked into it get damaged over time. So we have our gravity gun here, and we are going to treat it like our rocket launcher. So the first thing I want to do is make sure that, let's delete that. Let's bring in the brain over here. There's going to be a lot of similarities with our rocket launcher. So it's kind of good we covered the rocket launcher first, because it's like a rocket launcher advanced in a way. So we bring this over and paste that. And then we also do add brain, gravity sheet. I don't know why I didn't, I should just copy this over. All right, so similar to the rocket launcher, we are going to be creating the gravity portal. And then all the logic is going to be happening in the gravity portal itself. So this is my little gravity effect right here. I'm going to copy it so that I can kind of bring it over. This probably isn't the best effect. I don't like how this effect really kind of, as it's moving, it's not too powerful. It only kind of gets powerful when it's silent, when it's standing still. So you guys can definitely play around with the effects. There's definitely better effects than this one. We're gonna call this the gravity well. Okay, so we got the gravity well, and that is going to be, so it doesn't matter what you call this. I'm just going to keep calling it rocket, even though it's not really rocket. It's actually gravity well. So if I wanted to be technical, I would change this to gravity well, but
Well, since it's getting used by everything, it'd probably just be projectile.
Yeah, exactly. Right? We don't have to call it rocket. We can call it whatever. So that, we want to create this, same place. That's all good.
Cool.
So a gravity well has two states. I'm going to do the same thing and delete all this stuff. So the first thing is for the first second it moves outwards, and that's just important with any kind of gravity well type gun. Is as if it starts pulling in stuff towards it as soon as you fire it, then it's going to suck you in with it. So,
that's true.
And that's why
you follow along.
Yeah, I know. That's why no one. That's why everyone kind of creates gravity well, where you shoot it out, goes out a bit, and then it starts sucking things in. So you want to have. I found just really all you need is 1 second. So and you don't even need that long. Like you can even make it shorter than this. Obviously, you can kind of change this however you want. So we're going to just say move in direction forward with flying. And then after a countdown timer of 1, then that's where the real fun begins. So we are going to look at, all right, let's say this has a range of maybe 10 meters, let's say. So we're going to look at, for each of the creators, enemies, objects closer than 10, we are going to add a brain onto it. So do add brain, and you know what? Let's bring our logic cube here. I'm going to call this logic cube the gravity push brain. This is much cleaner to do it this way.
Than trying to just tell them to move toward the position.
Yeah, because that leads to a lot of problems. So this is much better, and I'll explain. I'll show you why soon. So we're going to have add brain, gravity push brain. We're going to specify that it needs to be it. And also, we're going to check that when it, when not, it has brain.
That brain.
Gravity push brain. So that way it only does it the one time. So, all right, that's always going on for that during that time. What other logic did I have in here? I think the rest is just kind of visual logic. Oh, right, I had it turning. Yeah, that's right. And I had it playing some cool effects. Okay, cool. So another important thing is you want everything being drawn into this gravity well. It's more fun if you have the gravity well turning, so that everything starts turning around with the gravity well, so it starts, kind of orbiting around it. So I had the gravity well do turn, so it's just constantly turning around. And then also...
so you got to get those to turn too, then, all its little objects.
Exactly. So this is why in this demo, I specifically only made it so enemies are going to be sucked into it, because if you do all objects...
It's going to get crazy.
Yeah, it can get really crazy if you have, say, 100 objects around that.
Just think if it's like just a normal environment, like if it's in the middle of a dungeon, then you're like dungeon walls and floor. And... You
could, for instance, do... you could just... If you really want to go for this gravity gun that kind of sucks in objects around, you can create this new object set. And
or even I would just look... You could do like any physics objects that have tumbling.
Yeah,
that would probably be a good way of handling it.
All right, so also with the counter timer, I'm just going to copy this stuff over because this is just extra eye candy. So just to kind of save on time, what I'm basically doing is every 1 second I'm playing this energy charge up effect and then playing a asteroid dust effect, so that it just like feels like stuff's going on around inside of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then after. So this probably is too long, but I thought after 10 seconds this thing's going to explode. So the gravity well is going to stick around for 10 seconds. And you could probably use better effects than this. This is literally the exact same effects as a rocket launcher. So let's see, what kind of other explosions do we have? Maybe we could do like a...
Void explosion?
Yeah, sure, why not? Void explosion. It goes into the void. So, yeah, that could be good. And then maybe instead we do like a... maybe this is where we can do like the impact. So you do like elemental earth impact, something along those lines. All right. So we got... That is all we need going on in here. So we just have this thing that's adding a brain. Move in direction, camera forward with flying. Okay. I don't need to do that though. Oh, right. That's important too. Okay. Cool. So the only thing we need to do, one last thing I forgot, is this object is referenced as this global object variable called gravity well. And that's something that we're going to need to reference in all of the things being pulled into it. So as soon as this object is created, the world knows it as global gravity well. And then this thing will move for 1 second in its forward direction. And then after that, after 1 second, it will then add this brain gravity push onto every single enemy that's within 10 meters of it. It's going to start turning around, and then it's just going to play effects. The fun stuff happens inside of here. Yeah. Why don't I try and recreate all this? Why not?
Yeah. If you can do it in 5 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, totally. All right. So the fun stuff always starts with tumbling physics. You can't have fun stuff flying towards the gravity well without tumbling physics. And its gravity factor, you set that to 0, so that this thing is basically like it's free floating in space. And I'm just going to
okay.
copy chunks probably from it.
Man, these poor enemies.
Yeah, exactly.
Immediately, they like don't have gravity.
So they're going to just be tumbling physics. They're going to have no gravity. Then the next thing I want to do is set this vector, this in-world vector position that is the position of the global gravity well. So I set that within the gravity well itself, plus the basically 1 meter forward of the gravity well. So this is basically going to make it so that this little offset here is about 1 meter in front of the gravity well, and the gravity well is turning. So it's always going to be, so that position is always going to be moving in this turning fashion, this kind of rotation.
What they're going
fashion.
for, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. That's not how I would have thought about going about it.
Yeah,
That's
so then it comes time to push these things. So use that push brain. So go to physics, push, then you set to push this guy right here, because this is a brain that's on this guy now, with a strength of 1, and push it towards this offset. So now this thing is flying towards that offset. So it's done all that. Then the next thing you want to do is you want to actually damage it. So every 2 seconds gets damaged by 5 points. I just made this super low because I wanted to kind of test it around. It probably would be higher, and you probably wouldn't have this thing last for 10 whole seconds. That's a long time. But every 2 seconds, this guy is damaged by 5 points. So all the people who are trapped in this thing are damaged by 5 points every 2 seconds.
So if somebody's in this at the start, they're going to go down for 50 damage, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So then...
Yeah.
The thing is, then these guys are always 25. Looking for, yeah, exactly 25. These guys are always looking for when global gravity well is equal to nothing. That means the gravity well has been destroyed. It is no more. Once that happens, then it's got to reset to its regular thing, what it was doing before. So to do that, first it's physics. Need to go back to character physics because it is a character. Its gravity factor will need to go back to 1 so that it actually has proper gravity. It's probably upside down or sideways or at a weird point right now, so it's up needs to be set to be equal to world up. And then I had one other, well, I think 2 other things actually here. Then the other thing I had here is, so I actually found this interesting thing just while I was testing here just before starting, is I needed to put in this little thing right here, move in direction forward. And it's only going to move in direction forward for 1 frame, but if it's not moving at all, it won't, it will continue to float in the world because it doesn't have any other movement. So it kind of looks at its last movement and it's like, well, I guess I can stay in that movement state because I'm not going anywhere else. So the thing will continue to float in the world until you bump into it. So by putting this move in direction forward, it kind of resets so that it knows that, all right, I need to go back to my original state of movement. So it's only going to move in direction forward for 1 frame, so it's really not going to move at all. And then you simply say remove brain, this brain. And there you go. That is all of the logic. And let's just make sure that this is all set up properly. I have this properly going to gravity shoot. Cool. All right. Let's have some fun here. Alrighty, so got my gravity gun here. Fire one of these gravity wells. And then these guys will just float around in it. And just keep on being damaged every 2 seconds. And then they kind of get out of that state. So I don't have them moving towards me.
Oh, they don't have a brain?
Yeah, they don't have brains. That's why they do actually have, I still kept it so that when they're 2 meters away from me, they'll attack me. But they don't have brains. So then I can be like, let's shoot it a bit above them now. right up here. Woo!
Now they like that looks pretty good.
Yeah. Bam.
Overpowered OP. That's the
Yeah,
OP
I know.
weapon.
This is a pretty OP weapon. I mean, it's really OP because it lasts for 10 whole seconds. That's you never have a gravity gun that lasts that long. But let's go even higher up. I don't think I've gone.
And you
this
would
high
have it,
before.
right? You could have it if you wanted to. Only it'd have to collide with the floor to like activate, or
right.
Or for instance, like one thing I would definitely limit is you can only have. When you have like a gravity well active, you can't actually shoot the weapon, and probably would only
Right.
have a thing of one anyway.
Yeah, exactly. You probably with a gun this OP, you want to give it 1 ammo clip. And then the nice thing is because we use multi-brain, I then pick up my shotgun. I got a nice shotgun right there, and then I can easily pick up the rocket launcher and get fire my rockets.
The SMG rocket.
And then just all works great. Vortex grenades in Warframe last 30 seconds?
Sounds like that's what I would
Whoa,
use.
that's insane. Another thing you might want to add in here is like maybe so it kind of draws like this its circle of influence. You might want to do something along the lines of what is it? Oh no, it would be under create, I think. Yeah, draw sphere with a radius of like 10 or so. So that way you can see what its sphere of influence is. You could probably it would look better with doing that with an effect, and then you'd have to figure out what the scale of that effect is. But like, let's shoot it, and then like you can kind of see what's affected in here. So probably 10 meters is way too big.
You could make it look cool, like coloring it or something.
Yeah. But looking at that, I'm realizing like a gravity gun that can affect 10 meters of space. That's huge. Look at that amount of space that it's affecting. It's ginormous.
Those poor goblins.
I know.
It's so funny.
I just love how when they die after like it's done, they just like come tumbling to the ground. Yeah. All right, so there you go. With 5 minutes to spare, we went through 3 different guns here.
See, it'd be interesting to have them with their like enemy brains, and then what they try to do while they're like in the gravity, right? Because they'll be trying to do those behaviors still.
Yeah, that's
Right.
true. Yeah, it actually gets to be really fun. So let's add in some enemy brains into these guys right here.
Looked like he had one actually.
They had enemy brains, but I just removed kind of all the logic from them.
Oh, okay.
So they only had the logic of like attacking me when I was 2 meters away. So like let's put these guys here. Bam, 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 bam. That circle of influence of 8 meters is pretty crazy. So let's put that down to 6.
Yeah, it looks right. They want to see more goblins.
800 goblins, 50-meter radius. Ooh, that might be more OP than OP. So
didn't get there.
yeah, but look. That's the great part. Is as soon as they run
There
into
you
it,
go.
then uh-oh. All right, let's fire.
So they
another one.
get pretty much incapacitated.
Yeah, exactly. As soon as something runs into there, then they're all gonna try and attack me, and I think they can still technically attack me if like they're really good about it. Oh, but they're all dead.
Yeah.
All right. I think I will end with just going crazy on the goblins. We're on a high-end computer. It can take it.
We hope.
And this is how you crash the stream.
Just how the stream just ends. It just like shuts down.
Yeah. Let's change that to 8. And let's get ready for some fun. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
They're coming.
Uh-oh. Oh my god. I feel so bad. I feel so bad for all of them.
See, you would actually, what you could do too is I would think of it more as like not doing a damage over time. Oh, that's not good.
Oh, no.
But more of it's just a incapacitation, right? So like you would have to switch over to a weapon to do damage. So now you could like shoot your rocket launcher in that cluster of goblins.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. I think most games do kind of.
It's more of a positioning.
Right. It does incapacitate them. Doesn't really harm them too much. Yeah. Whoop.
Here, pick up the rocket launcher.
Yeah. So let's do rocket launcher. And goodbye, suckers. Oh, that works pretty well, actually. Uh-oh.
The 1-2 punch.
Bam. So, I think that'll about do it for us. Hopefully you guys had some fun learning about how to make these weapons. Let us know. So we're going to be covering, probably at least for next week, we'll also be covering kind of
I know exactly what I want to do now.
Oh, sweet.
So I want to take all your weapons now and then do like an inventory and switching between them. So you actually are keeping them all at the same time.
Ah, nice. Okay.
So
cool.
that I think now that we have populated this world with some additional weapons, we can actually go and do that now.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So weapon switching it in like I think inventory and keeping track of like MO counts, right? So you're gonna keep some on your actual character regardless of weapons coming in and out. So it'll be cool. I think that'll be a good direction to go. Maybe we'll do another gun too.
Lightning gun. Oh yeah, if I could do another
chain lightning gun or something.
Yeah, if I could do another gun, I might choose lightning gun.
Not if I do it first.
Yeah, well, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Got some fun stuff to do with these guns now. It's actually these mechanics, by the way, are already shared. If you look up, I shared it from my personal account, but if you look up weapon. Weapon something. I should probably know. It's weapon mechanics. That's all it is. If you look up weapon mechanics by Invisible Doogie, then you will find these 3 guns that we just went over are already shared inside of Project Spark. So you can take them and tweak them as you will. The only thing that isn't in there, which is really simple to add, is this extra line on this gravity well, as soon as it's done, just have the thing move in direction forward for 1 frame. That's the only new thing I added. But besides that, these other guns are already shared, so have some fun with them, and yeah, hopefully you have some more fun making some shooting type games.
Mm-hmm.
Sniper rifle. I want to get to that when I can get the vector math right for it. I want to do like a really complex sniper rifle. I can do a not complex sniper rifle. It doesn't work too well, but I want to do a really nice one. So that will come sometime in the future.
Yeah.
Create your game as you play? Any Spark can do it. Spark, activate the portals.